using an AC is a luxury at times. You know what I mean? But as you know, I know I see how you're moving your body, but I feel like
you've seen some kind of sunshine that make you question your arrival on Earth.
But in certain countries, you go to certain countries like even Mexico is significantly higher GDP than Nigeria. People are better. People don't switch on the AC all the time. They don't just come into their house and
okay,
on
now
AC.
that's a different context. What do you think about nuclear energy in Nigeria?
I think nuclear energy is definitely something that we should consider. I have nothing against nuclear energy.
Even safety.
No, okay. So
you are sure you can defend nuclear energy with your chest in Nigeria?
Now, if it's government run, I will say no. If it's a private sector, I would say yes. I think that one that we should be looking into more is coal. Enugu has...
Oh.
Yes, controversial, I know.
You are talking like a president I know.
Clean
Dream more.
I think as Nigerians, we need to hold people accountable, not just on social media.
Okay.
We need to, like I said...
You should carry placards to the office.
Go to their offices.
Really?
Ask them the questions.
You will lead the charge.
I'm ready.
Your name does start with you.
No, but
Good day again. It's another wonderful episode of Talking Watts. And this is one of our special editions when we have in-house studio editions. And we only have these editions when we have special odogus in the house, when we have gigantic people, the big men in the industry. And today I have a special guest, not as usual. I have a special guest in an unusual way to discuss some key parameters around energy. Every time we talk about energy in Nigeria, we talk about, generation, transmission, generation. But today now, we're talking about beyond that generation and those hardware metrics, megawatts and kilowatts. We'll be talking the Naira and Kobo side of things today. And so I want over to my special guest. Please introduce yourself and what you do, and let's dive right in.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Malobi Ogbechie.
Okay.
I am the managing director of DUBI. DUBI specializes in waste management in the oil and gas sector.
Okay.
And we are diversifying our company into the downstream of the power sector, moving on from next year onwards. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you, something I'm very passionate about. So
yes, so we are both passionate about energy.
Yes.
And I have a way, especially when I'm on radio too, is that most times I try to reduce English. Because I want people to get the idea of what we are trying to say. Because sometimes we can get carried away with our technical terms, kilowatts, MVA, 60 MVA transformer. It doesn't resonate with some set of people, right? So please, that introduction again, you now break it down for my level. You know, my education level is you now break it down for my level. Yes. What is downstream? Is it Isaleudu, meaning that's where by the river, or what? Because stream, people hear stream, they hear down. So you have to clarify it further so that people can understand your context in our conversation.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, when I talk about downstream, I'm talking about power distribution. So the part of
the last mile,
the part of the power sector that is closest to the customer.
Okay.
Yes. So we're talking about the distribution companies that you might be aware of, like Ikeja,
discos,
Echo Disco, or anything around that. So even providing services to the discos, metering, and other technologies that are basically as close to the customer as possible.
Yes. All right. So you are not on the generation level. You are not definitely government handles transmission and likes. All right, so today we're talking about the challenges in the energy ecosystem, right? There's no human being in Nigeria, no matter how wealthy or how poor you are, that would not agree that there are challenges in our energy sector. Our power sector is struggling. And yes, we have had some wins, but there's still a long road to freedom. So now, some persons have come up with different narratives of how to solve the problem. Some people said privatize it. We've tried privatization and this is where we are. Some said that, it's because you privatize and give to the wrong set of people. They can't afford to run it, blah, 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 blah. I think there are some discourse that they've even taken for some businesses and transferred and all those things, but we're still here where we are. So in your opinion, on the show some weeks ago, we had a conversation and we said, okay, Bagbam, you are Minister of Power now. Give us 5 line items, action points. That, okay, what are the directions you think that, okay, if we do things this way, if we treat things this way, there can be some sort of improvement in the energy sector. So the floor is yours now.
All right. Fantastic question. So I'm a bit of a hardliner and I'm very controversial in the way I look at things, right?
All right.
So I think that one of the biggest things that can change this sector in general is if we mandate prepaid billing, mandate metering to make it
your choice of words have to be careful. Election is coming next year. Don't you are using words like mandates. It's sounding how I don't want it to sound.
No, honestly,
I'm just kidding.
I know what you mean, but I think it's got to that level where I think that estimated billing should just be
Wiped out.
completely. It should be illegal at this point because it's the same thing with the subsidy in the sense that yes, it's very painful. Nigerians are going through it right now, but it was a necessary step that we had to make.
To regularize
Otherwise,
things.
you keep pushing and pushing and pushing it and delaying the progress. So in the same way with the subsidy that had to be removed, and all the political presidential candidates agreed on that too, we need to put only billing that it was a prepaid meter.
Some years back, there were conversations around deregulation. That deregulation is the answer. There was even a proper media advert about it that government will drive it. Deregulation is the answer. So I think the sector is slightly or largely deregulated now. And some people say that they still don't feel the impact. Now let's come to the billing conversation. I think about a couple of months ago or earlier in the year, stroke late last year, there were conversations about the penetration of metering. And from that data I saw, I think the metering covered just about maybe 30% or for something way below 50%.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, how do you collect money if you can't measure what is being used? But in the midst of that, you kept hearing different interventions. Hey, MAP program, this program, this is. Sometimes you won't hear metering is free, meter is free. Just walk up and go and get meter. It's as simple as hearing bail is free. I won't go further than that. But when you dive deeper and you get to when the rubber meets the road and you get to the discos offices and you say want to obtain a meter, the conversation is different from what you hear in the news and in the media and what is propagated.
Yes.
You hear some bills that were not mentioned. Oh, you have to pay this. And if you want the regular line, they give you this option. That's if you want the faster, if you want fast track, that's the word. That fast track is this amount. So that metering thing, that metering gap, how soon do you think that metering gap can be covered to at least, even if it's 80%, 70%, that would be a great improvement. And what are the strategies that you think that will really benefit people to make sure that, or encourage people to go ahead for metering?
Yes.
Also knowing that a lot of these costs also make some massive money from estimated billing.
Exactly.
So
yes.
How do we strike that balance? How do you make it make sense to somebody to say, okay, yes, I need to go and get a meter for myself?
Okay, so one misconception that is out there is that a lot of Nigerians, they can't afford meters. Yes, a lot can't, but quite a significant amount can.
Three-phase meter is above minimum wage, so you know
yes,
that.
Yes, it is. But a lot of Nigerians who would like to purchase the meter are not able to get the meters. Whether they're not available, whether they're just comfortable in this system that it is right now. So if we can actually convert those people that have the money, have the ability to get the meters to actually get it, that will significantly generate more. And the key word here is profitable revenue for the discos. Because one thing that happens is that if you're not tracking things, if you're collecting money for what you didn't generate, there's some lapses in the system. Either you're under collecting or over collecting. So you need to start setting up a system where.
But do you think over collecting will be a problem for discos?
It's not a problem. That's another discussion altogether, because some discos are benefiting from the status quo. We just have to call it as it is. A lot of discos are benefiting because they can overcharge and the likes, and that's why some are not as much as in a rush to meter their customers, because, well, if I can benefit from the system as it is and make more money, why would
I want to meter the customer?
Meter you? So it's and like I say, it's very similar to the subsidy thing, because it's like there's a certain system that's working for certain people, and until you force it out of their hand, we're just going to keep going and keep delaying, and the sector is not going to be profitable. And if it's not profitable, the discos are not giving money to the transmission and generation. Generation is not, paying for the gas.
Gas they're owing. It's a cycle of problems.
In my opinion, 90% of the issue comes from the distribution and not generation, because we have enough installed capacity, meaning that I like to use the analogy of buckets of water, right? Let's say you have a 10-liter bucket of water and you call that the generation, right? But if you have a hole on the bottom of the bucket, and so let's say only 4 liters are able to come out of the bucket, out of that 10-liter bucket, that 4 liters is actually what is on the grid in terms of the analogy. So
because
if you don't plug the hole, then you're still going to be pouring water and water is going to be leaking out of it. So we need to have a system where each bucket, as it goes from generation to transmission to distribution, there's no leakages.
But transmission is still a major headache, right? Because transmission is the middleman between the gencos and the discos.
Yes.
In recent times, we heard in the news about the flooding incidents, especially in Lagos. I think about 2 or more substations were affected, transmission substations were affected. There was one that was like a 60 MVA transformer affected and the likes. That's transmission leg, right? It's not the disco's. It's not the disco's responsibility.
Yes.
And from the little knowledge I know, I'm not sure how valid the information is. I think transmission companies still largely owned by government.
Yes.
It's not private sector led.
Yes.
Right. So, Alaji and some big men can decide to say, okay, I'm building 10,000 megawatts. I'm building 50,000 megawatts. I'm building 40,000 megawatts.
Yes.
But if that generation or energy generated is not getting to the last mile, it's still useless.
Yes.
And guess who's in between them and the discos?
Transmission. Yeah.
Transmission.
I agree.
Which is still heavily regulated. And secondly, it's still under capacity. The capacity is still way, way, way lower than what we really need.
Yes.
So, Mr. Minister.
No, this is a valid point too.
Yeah.
So the main national grid, as long as you have the government, Nigerian government as it is today, managing the TCN, it's not going to be as capitalized as we'd like. It wouldn't be as efficient as we'd like. But we thank God that we have the new Electricity Reform Act, which has
decentralized the entire system so that there won't be too much pressure on the grid.
On the main grid, on the national grid. Yes.
So me, I'd always like to defend both sides, right? There are conversations around that, oh, yes, government has to hold on to TCN because there must be a bit of something owned and controlled by government for security's sake. Energy security, to prevent capitalists from exploiting the system, right?
Yes.
And now they've come through the alternative route. Okay, instead of putting all the pressure on the central, in quote, national grid, let's try to decentralize this thing and let's try to have a lot of mini grids here and there. Let's have the Rural Education Agency, we have the schools and everybody trying to, pull one or two things aside.
Yeah.
Now that leads me to the next question, right? Renewables came into the conversation. And the reason why renewables came in was that, let's say about 10 years ago, renewables has been around for a while.
Yes.
But it began to make more sense in Nigeria because the cost benefits was beginning to make sense in terms of return on investment and availability of energy, right? So people are beginning to see value in it. But there's still let's say like an elephant in the room. And the fact that, okay, let me give an example, a clear example. I walked up to an institution, a massive education institution. We wanted to power them. And we were working hard, doing logging, evaluating, doing some plotting graphs and giving detailed power factor, all those big grammar and the likes. Then we presented a bill. And we kept following up because the bill, to me, if I'm the business owner, I will take up that deal immediately.
Yes.
Because it made a lot of financial sense. The cash projection, the return on investment is beautiful. And fortunately, I had an internal source, like, okay, someone that I could even ask, okay, please, what's going on with this proposal we submitted? What's happening with your board? And they came out to me plain and frank. You see, Oga, your proposal can't fly. The reason is that, you see the energy we are using, you are billing it, you are calculating in kilowatt hours. First of all, we are not even on band A. So they are on whatever band it is. However, on that particular band, they now had a special arrangement with the discos through the business districts. Like, no, guys, I'll give you this X amount every month. Just make sure I have steady power.
Okay.
So, let me put in context. Let's say I'm on band E, what kind of lowest band it is, right? Maybe as low as 15 naira per kilowatt hour. but I'm making sure that I'm getting about 20 hours of power every day. You can see that dynamics.
Yes.
So there's no way I will pitch a solar or renewable installation that will make commercial sense.
Yes.
And I believe those kind of arrangements are existing in several discos here and there.
Okay.
So at what points do you think it will make sense? Or at what point do you think it will make sense for private sector? Because now discos is private sector, but it's a different kind of private sector. Let's say individuals like us. At what point would it make sense for us to step into the energy business to really get more value from the ecosystem?
That's a very good question, because I had a conversation with one of my uncles. He produces meters himself, and he partnered with another company similar, offering solar energy to a university in Enugu.
Okay.
And they had an opposite reaction in the sense that it was very successful. You know, they make, let's say, on average 10 to 20 million every month, and it's a profitable system and it's working. So sometimes it's the institution specific. But then also sometimes, like you said, there's a specific deal arrangement that's been organized.
Because those deals will always be around one corner or the other.
But then the question is then, if the disco is offering this deal, is it profitable for the disco? Like, how are they able to offer such a good service at such a price?
Such deals, if you really look at it, such deals are not really, sometimes might not get really up there. It might just die there in the business district level or district level. It might not really get to the final because the numbers just make sense. So, for example, an area where you know that is band E, and for some reason somebody is able to find a way to reroute their transmission to make sure that they are getting premium energy. So even with the metering, you've metered the facility at 50 naira per kilowatt hour, and they're paying maybe an extra 100 naira, or definitely that's not tied to kilowatt hour. Like, okay, an extra maybe 200,000 every month or 400,000. I don't know the amount, right? It will make sense on paper. Like, oh, this district is a coast band E, and you're still generating this much revenue. But there are losses somewhere.
Yes.
Because that energy that had been diverted or given to a factory or somebody that's really ready to pay for the real cost of energy.
Yes.
It will make more sense.
Yes. And the point that you made there is there are losses somewhere. So who is paying for that loss? It has to be accounted by somebody somewhere. Whether it's me and you, somebody will pay us that. So the thing about business is that it always has to be profitable. And what has happened in the distribution of Nigeria is that we've allowed private sector companies to run unprofitably. And then what we do is we then subsidize them. And for me, I just believe that Nigeria works best when the government is not involved in anything to do with business. The government should step out as much as possible. But in cases where we have stuff like subsidies, we should remove subsidies and allow companies that can't succeed to fail and pass the mantle on to companies that have bigger pockets, bigger capital. But what I think happens is that these existing distribution companies, maybe they are politically aligned. They have somebody on their board, or one of the owners is X this, X that. So they are able to stay unprofitable
and still
be running, you know. So I think that we have to make these tough decisions. The government has to get involved in the sense that, look, you're not profitable, you haven't been for X amount of years, you're not generating as much meters as you need to, as you said you were going to. So the government should step in and say, look, let's let other companies step in that can actually deliver.
Okay, so let me defend them again now. Profitability conversation.
Okay.
Metering gap is there, right?
Yes.
They're trying to roll out meters. In the midst of that, there's still conversations around energy theft.
Okay.
Which is still a major problem. These ones, at least, they're not still, but it's still like energy theft, technically, right?
Yes.
There's energy theft conversation. And apart from that, I want to ask you a very clear question, as much as putting you on the spot, like on the spotlight.
Okay.
Do you think we are paying a fair price for energy in Nigeria?
No, I think that okay, it depends on what band you're talking about. But I think that
any band.
I think that
okay, let's pick the most expensive band. Let's say band A.
Okay.
Are we paying a fair price for energy?
Band A, I would say they are, but I think most other bands outside of band A are not. I think our electricity is heavily subsidized.
Okay.
Even though as Nigerians we say that, yes, it's very expensive and all that. I think the problem is that we don't get what we pay for. But in terms of the cost of electricity per kilowatt hour, etc., we're not actually one of the most expensive, right? And when we actually look at it, when we pay for the diesel and the fuel and all this kind of stuff, we actually end up paying a lot more. But if you're looking at purely from what the grid is giving us and what we're paying,
so the grid is one of the cheapest sources of
it's
energy.
one of it's very cheap. Although we don't necessarily get as much energy or electricity as we'd like.
So reliability is a problem.
That's the main problem. The cost of electricity, it's. I know, but sometimes as Nigerians, we don't look and compare. What compared to our neighbors? Okay, how much is our neighbor paying for this?
That thing, I always fight from both sides now. Let me switch sides now.
Okay.
Compare with neighbors. How can you compare? Okay, let's use household neighbors. One man works in an oil and gas company.
Okay.
And is having a revenue of about maybe monthly salary of $20,000 or $10,000. The second person is a primary school teacher somewhere in one small private primary school, and is being paid 80,000 naira every month. Right. Now, the fact that that neighbor that's earning $10,000 a month can afford something at a price doesn't mean that I should be able to afford it.
Of course.
So people are quick to say that, how much is energy in the United Kingdom, how much energy in the United States, how much energy even in Ghana. But did you cross-check it and measure it with the purchasing power of an average Nigerian?
Yes. Okay.
Because we always take that thing out of context, right? I was discussing with someone that I even discovered that Nigeria is one of the places that is most expensive place to even buy a vehicle. One of the most expensive places, because by the time you compare the same vehicle, somebody is buying a vehicle in the UK or buying in the US or buying it even in Dubai, the landing cost to them is way, way lower than that same brand new vehicle coming to Nigeria. Fortunately for us, there are some new policies, adjustments around vehicle importation, reduced tariff and all those things. But before then, that was our reality. So we're trying to match up with the realities of other countries when our own purchase power is lower.
Yes.
So what will you say now?
I get what you're saying. So yes, our purchasing power is less. But at the end of the day, some certain things are internationally priced. Let's say the price of gas, the price of certain
crude oil.
Yes. So, at a certain level, the price is going to be at a certain level. It can't go lower than a certain level, right? So I understand when you say, yes, if somebody's earning 80K per month and you can't ask them to pay 200,000 naira electricity bill, it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, if the price of gas or the price of whatever, the hydroelectric power, whatever it is X, you cannot pay lower than that because it still has to go, the generation company has to make money, transmission, distribution. So all of them will add their own margin. So it cannot go past a certain price. So I just think that, yes, Nigeria, compared to other countries, might, the purchasing power is lower. Maybe not compared to all African countries, but compared to some. But I do think that you can't avoid electricity being expensive. Even in middle income countries, low income countries, high income countries, electricity is expensive. You go to other countries, let's say, even say Mexico, for example. Over there, people don't on AC like we on AC. But if the government says something like, okay, people monitor how you use AC, Nigerians will say, why are you telling us to monitor? But
there was somebody that mentioned that people should control the use refrigerator.
Exactly.
And it was trending. It was a trending video.
Okay, refrigerator, I don't agree now. Everybody should be able to use
refrigerator and air conditioners. That's why power is interrupted. That once they restore power, everybody puts so much load and the system gets overwhelmed and shuts down.
Oh, okay. I don't agree with that, because to say that only the AC affects the grid, I don't know about that. But to say that switching on the AC affects the cost of electricity, I think that certain things, I've said this to my friend and he gets really angry and triggered when I say it, but I think that using an AC is a luxury at times. You know what I mean? But as, I know I see how you're moving your body, but I feel like
you've seen some kind of sunshine that make you question your arrival on Earth.
But in certain countries, you go to certain countries like even Mexico is significantly higher GDP than Nigeria. People are better off. People don't switch on the AC all the time. They don't just come into their house and on AC.
Now that's a different context. All the time. I know. I think there are a couple of times I also advocated for that, where people will step out of the house and keep their air conditioning units running yes, that's wastage. But saying that we don't need AC,
No. I'm not saying that. No. We need AC. We need AC. But I'm saying that it's more a nuanced conversation on like the usage, like how are you using things? Do you just leave your AC come in just so your room is cool, so that when you come in it's cold, and then you look at your electricity bill and say, why is our electricity bill this high? But maybe you're not thinking of it as, okay, maybe sometimes I can use the fan. You know, even in the UK, there are some times where people you monitor your
some condition. It will just amplify the heat too.
no, not even just air conditioner. Like let's say in the winter months, people they monitor their usage of the heaters. You know, and you say it's the first world country. Why am I monitoring? Oh, I should shut off the heater when I'm not in the house and all that. Everybody does it globally. So you know, monitoring your usage of electricity is a global practice. It's not something that we're punishing Nigerians.
So I understand the context now, and I think I've mentioned on the show a couple of times too. And that context is energy wastage. So the energy that's not sufficient enough, we are still wasting a lot of it.
Yes.
And that happens. You see people leave air conditioners running, people leave water heaters and just get out of the house.
Yes.
And some people say that this is my money, I'm paying for the bill, I'll pay it, right? But whatever you're paying, you're still taking out of a pool that should have been diverted to somewhere else. So it's still a lot of problem. And that energy waste also comes with choice of equipment. A lot of people also still use some old energy consuming equipment, as simple as incandescent light bulbs, some equipment that will still, there's some air conditioners that when they start up, the power they will pull. And some person said that I'd rather pay more for it than use the newer, more efficient, energy saving air conditioners. And so there's a whole lot of conversations around that. Now, we talked about energy and distribution, but there's still some conversations about the fact that Nigeria is not really exploring almost all the sources of energy. Yes, several years back, our major source of energy was hydro. We had the dams and the likes. Then gradually, we have a lot of gas. Okay, let's use gas. Gas came in. Fortunately, renewables coming to the equation. Renewables coming to the equation. We have solar energy and all those bits. What do you think about nuclear energy in Nigeria?
I think nuclear energy is definitely something that we should consider. I have nothing against nuclear energy.
Even
I think
safety.
No. Okay. So
you are sure you can defend nuclear energy with your chest in Nigeria?
Now, if it's government run, I will say no. If it's a private sector run, we bring in Russian scientists, we bring in the best of the best, I would say yes. Because, you know, Nigerians in the private sector are very intelligent, they're very efficient. You know, we can build world-class.
But they don't have control of the environment, you know that.
Yeah, to a certain extent they don't, to a certain extent they
Stability,
do.
Security,
security, like insecurity is an issue. But, you know, let's say, for example, the Dangote refinery, you know, they have their own security. They have ways of monitoring because the Dangote infrastructure is something that is very important to Nigeria now. So if an enemy comes, God forbid, to attack Nigeria, they can attack that infrastructure and it messes up our economy. So Dangote too, it might look like just a normal refinery, but they have high-end security over there. So in the same way, if we brought nuclear energy, you know, we know that Nigeria has a lot of uranium, one of the major uranium.
I think we also have some.
We have some as well.
Nigeria.
So uranium is abundant in you know, Nigeria, which is just next door. So to build a nuclear plant is a great idea. And, you know, it's technically on the renewable side of things, right? I think that one that we should be looking into more is coal. Enugu has yes, controversial, I know.
Yeah, talking like a president, I know.
Clean
Dream
coal. But you know, the Western
coal
world
has high carbon emissions.
Yes, it does. But you know, the Western world they practice something called kicking away the ladder, which means that you know you will do something, you use it to develop yourself, and now when it's our turn, you say, no, nobody should be using it.
Oh,
so
okay. I know that school of thought.
Exactly. So, you know, Africa generates about 3% of global emissions, carbon dioxide emissions, from when I last checked. So if China, US, all these other countries are doing it, it's not to say that we should not use renewables. Renewables are definitely important, but
we should still balance it while we still...
Yeah,
for large-scale Africa is technically the lungs of the earth.
Yes, well... yes, Africa, South America, I think so too. But what we can do is, there's things with like carbon credits where you can, grow more trees,
So they should pay us for growing the trees.
Yes, so we can
and saving
balance.
their
We can balance it as we build one coal plant. We can, grow 1,000 palm trees or whatever it is to balance and offset the carbon emissions. But to say that we should neglect coal altogether, I think there are also technologies that you can use to minimize the carbon emissions. Look at China. Most of the energy
mix
is from coal.
everything.
So
I have a mix of almost everything.
And most of the energy is actually from coal. So, if we want to be industrializing, you can't, it's very hard to industrialize on such a large scale and such an affordable cost without using technologies like coal. We use gas. Gas is a great fuel because it's a transition. It's something between, coal and renewables. Is not too much emissions, and it's actually Nigeria. Most of Nigeria's energy is now from gas, but coal, we have it in abundance. Why don't we use it? We don't need to put it on the grid. We can do mini grids. We can do manufacturing in clusters in Enugu in the southeast and all that. I just think that coal is very cheap. It can be monitored. And we can do things to counterbalance the emissions. But to say that we shouldn't use it at all because of, even the countries that say we shouldn't use it are using it. So it's kind of hypocritical to say that we should then take all the burden of jumping.
Of trying to clean the earth.
While they are still, using it for manufacturing. So, I think the coal is underrated. But yes, nuclear, we're doing a great job in solar. I think that we can do more in terms of, we're doing some panels in Nigeria, but we can do more in terms of the batteries.
Yes, the battery.
We have lithium, we have copper, we have different things in Nigeria that we can utilize to get into the actual production of the batteries.
Okay, so while wrapping up, except everybody is aware that there's this trust game between discos and end users and customers. Customers are always watching every move of the disco. Okay, are they trying to exploit him and the likes? And on the other side too, discos too don't trust customers. I had a situation where a disco came to disconnect one of my properties because they came and they asked that, where's the card for this meter? Because it's the older kind of meter. I said, I don't know. I've not used it in ages. I don't know where it is. And they were like, this sounds fishy. Your air conditioners are running. Welders are fabricating things in your compound. You have over almost 20 ACs running here. I said, I'm using my renewable. And they were like, They gave that look. So the guy literally went up the ladder, disconnected my cable because there's armored cable on it, disconnected from the pole to be sure that I'm actually not. After I disconnected, I told him, please don't connect that thing back. And that's almost 3 years plus, about almost 4 years now.
Oh, wow.
Since then. Wow. So since you disconnected it now,
you can keep it.
Don't bother. I suppose they called me, they reached out to me that, okay, we now have a specialized new meter. It's free, you don't have to pay anything. I said, I don't want
to come back now.
I don't want to again. So that trust issue.
Yes.
Both sides. What are the things you think can come into place? How can that trust be restored, that the customer will trust that the disco is really working out to make sure that I'm well served and served at the right price? And discos to also show that, this customer is willing to pay and this customer is happy to use my service.
Yes.
So what are the things that you think both sides can do to build their trust?
I think one thing that's really underestimated in life in general is communication. I was just coming back from a trip in Enugu. I went to the regulators.
Oh, I can see
office.
why you are driving that cool conversation.
Yeah, that's part of it. But I went to the regulations office, and they were having some sort of town hall meetings between the consumers and the distribution company. So having that conversation, understanding because the discos too, we might be pointing the finger. They might have their own challenges too. So how can we help each other? How can we? Then also technology. There's loads of technologies out there nowadays you can get that can help you with monitoring the grid. Understanding when things are being tampered, etc. Even drone technologies can help you survey and understand, whether there's tampering and bypassing and all that going on. So these discos also have to invest in, technologies that can help them to actually monitor.
Is this same discos we are chasing to buy transformer?
You understand? So it's a problem. I think one of the biggest challenges some discos have is just capital.
Capital, yeah.
Yes, because they need to invest in meters, transformers,
Transmission cables.
SCADA, transmission cables, monitoring technologies. There's a lot that they have to invest in. So how are they going to get that money? But also on the other hand, no investor is going to invest in you if they don't see any path
to profitability.
You know, so you have to show that at least the people that you're collecting from, okay, what's your revenue like? What's your profitability like? Are you actually making an effort? Can you demonstrable effort that you're trying to mentor people? You're trying to, you know, make it as profitable as possible. And if you're not, you're not, you know. And I know that there are some discos that are, you know, and you can see from the data from NERC, they'll show you, okay, Echo Electricity versus, I don't want to name a particular state now, but you know, you see, you know, so it's a matter of is there actually being effort made? So they need the capital. I won't lie. Some of them need to do joint ventures. Sorry,
are you signing the check?
I wish. But another model as well with the new you know, regulation where states control their own electricity.
Yes.
They some of the discos, they're exploring franchise models where they can say, okay, this ward I can give to person A to manage it.
Yes.
And then you can bring your own capital, meter the customers, take over the entire place by yourself.
Segments. So,
you understand? But some discos also, they are too used to being in monopoly. They don't want to let go
of
certain sections of it. So it's like, I think, again, I don't like to give the discos too many excuses because there's so many ways that they can find ways out of the situation, whether it's to raise funds, whether to, you know, sort of franchise areas, or even give out a section to another electricity retailer. But they don't do it. So I think
like sub-retailers.
Exactly.
So I was discussing one of the discos, and what they did is that they restructured such a way that almost every sub-district, every district is actually run like an independent entity, driving their own profitability within their own region.
Exactly.
Without having to rely on the collective effort of the entire discos coverage.
Exactly.
And another thing that I've seen discos do is the conversations about regulations for net metering, meaning that I can sell back to the grid and pull back to the grid, and there are some technicalities coming around that.
Yes.
So I believe that with all of these things coming into play, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
But right now, while we're inside the tunnel, we'll touch light till we get to the end.
Yeah.
All right, it's been an interesting conversation today. Talking what? Do you have any parting closing remarks? Anything you want to say?
Yeah. So firstly, thank you for having me, and then also I just want to say that as Nigerians, it's gonna, again, another controversial comment, but I think as Nigerians, we need to hold people accountable, not just on social media.
Okay.
We need to, like I said,
you should carry placards to the office.
Go to their offices.
Really?
Ask them the questions.
You will lead the charge.
I'm ready.
Your name does start with you.
No, but these guys, they're setting an example. Maybe VDM might be for.
Disclaimer.
Okay, no politics. But you know, certain people might be for certain. There's another influencer. Maybe
so you want to be the one for energy.
I'm not saying.
Don't worry, call me
yes.
next time. Next time you are going to protest, I'll sponsor biscuits and water.
Don't quote me on that. But I do feel like you know, we can. It doesn't necessarily need to be placard. We can hold meetings, sit down with them, because we also need to hear from them.
I actually know a particular disco in this Lagos that calls for monthly meetings.
Fantastic.
It's usually a Zoom call. I've joined a couple of times.
Yes.
And they listen to customer feedback in real time. People call about outages, people call about thefts, vandalism, a whole lot of things.
Yes.
And from those conversations and engagements, it started shaping my perspective about those discos. Like, okay, these are some of the challenges they also go through, or these are the limitations and all those things. So we hope that light at the end of the tunnel
is coming.
It's coming. So we just make sure that we hold our touch while we are seeing that darkness to get to the end of the tunnel.
All right.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for tuning in. And till the next time we meet on Talking Watts, we say have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.